Good morning. And in today's class, we shall continue with the same Cassandra. So, yesterday we have talked about Cassandra. So, what is the use of Cassandra and what is the difference between row oriented and column oriented? And we have discussed about Cassandra data model. And there are seven most important terms related to Cassandra. Okay, so these are the things that we have discussed in the last session. And today we will be talking about Cassandra clients and introduction to Pig. So when I move on to like Cassandra clients, we have one topic called HBase clients, right? So what does mean by this client? I mean Cassandra client. What is the use of this client? And let us quickly recall these things. Okay. So when you use a relational database, for example, SQL or MySQL or SQL Server or Oracle, and some kind of database tools like this, and we need some particular drivers. We need some drivers to interact with these database systems, and without those drivers, we are unable to interact with these database systems. For example, if you want to connect SQL with Java, you need JDBC, so which is an API, so which is an vendor implementation which helps you to interact your database system with your language or to the design, right? So similarly, when we move on to like Cassandra, then Cassandra is little bit different from these things. And for use to use Cassandra, we don't specifically require drivers like this. Like if you talk about SQL, you need a specific driver with to be get installed with SQL, so that where you can interact and where you can do the things when you integrate with programming language. Else, if you are using a database alone, you don't want any kind of tools, right? You don't want any kind of drivers, or you don't want any kind of supporting tools. So in this case, a minute. So specifically, when I move on to Cassandra, we don't want any kind of specific drivers like how we use with SQL and the other things. So the next thing is when you, this Cassandra is called CQL, Cassandra Query Language. So when I try to interact with this Cassandra with Python or Java or a C Sharp or C++, it can be of any programming languages. So when we try to interact with this Cassandra with a programming language, then we need APIs. Okay, so then we need APIs, and those APIs help us to interact with our relation with our database management system. For example, like I want to use Python to interact with Cassandra, right? So to do this, I don't want any specific driver related to Python, but what I can have is I can have a client layer that is called Cassandra clients. I can have a client layer. For example, we have taken HBS clients. So there we have talked about Apache Avro. So Apache Avro is a simple API which helps you to interact with your database tool. So that is Cassandra clients. Okay, so which acts as like interaction, which acts as like interface layer, or which acts as like a layer which assists you in interacting. I mean, which assists you in passing the query to your database and to get a response. And here, for example, if I use Python to interact with Cassandra, let us take a simple example first initially. The example is like we are using a Python and we are using SQLite. SQLite is a structured query language. It is based on SQL. So if I'm using Python with SQL, I don't want any particular driver to be get installed, or I don't want to connect anything like JDBC, ODBC. I don't want to do anything like this. What I can do is I can just open Python programming language. So within that, I will be importing SQLite. So the first statement I can write is import SQLite. If you are little bit familiar with Python, then this will be easy for you to understand. And second thing, once if I import this, what I can do is I can write a query in Python directly. I mean, select a star from how you will be writing in SQL. Same way, I can write a query in Python. I can execute it. For to do this, I will be creating a small interface that is called cursor. Cursor is a connection medium, or it is an intermediate between my database to my this program. And to do this, there is no any specific steps. What I need to do is I need to create object, like how you create a object in Java. Okay, so cursor equal to new cursor. Next, I need to connect my object. I need to just write 2 lines of code. That is more enough. Okay, I need to write just 2 lines of code, which will make me to interact with my data set, with my database in Python. Okay, so which will make me to interact with my database in Python. Is it clear? Okay, so this is a simple example how, I mean, like which will help you to understand how we are going to interact with a database model with a programming language. So specifically not like Python, it can be Java, it can be even other query languages. So as of now, we are using mostly Java and Python. In examples, we shall be discussing about both Java and Python. Okay, so that is the first thing. Uh, and when we try to use Cassandra data model, I mean, when you use Cassandra data model, you want to interact with Python, then you need some APIs. So which will help you to interact with your database system. And those APIs are that we will be discussing as Cassandra clients. Okay. So this is an introduction to Cassandra clients. And here we have one more term called JMX. JMX stands for Java Management Extension. So what it does, why we're using it, right? Let us discuss in the next slide. Okay. So the first API is Thrift. Thrift and Avro are the same that we have discussed in HBase. Just we are going to use with there we have used with HBase data model, and here we will be using with the Cassandra data model. And the concept of both HBase, I mean the concept of thrift in terms of HBase and Cassandra is going to be same. But the only the data model that which you interact get differs. Okay. So first point about thrift is it is an API for client implementation, and as usual it has been developed in Facebook, and which provides you a set of libraries for using when you interact with the programming languages like C++, C Sharp, PL, PHP, Python, Ruby, Smalltalk, etc. And what are the other advantages is the first feature is it is language dependent. I'll come back to this goal. And the first feature is language independent. Language independent means, for example, you know the meaning of language independent, where it is not restricted specifically to this programming language or that programming language. And here, for example, if I design a C++ construct, and if I want to get used in Python, I can use it directly in Python. I don't want to write a specific script again to use it in Python. So to be simple, I've designed a method in C++ to be get used, and same that I can exchange with Python dictionary, and I can use it in Python. I don't want to write it again in a new manner. That is the first feature. And second one is common transport interface. And it is, I mean, you can use the same application code which can be used either even if you read from disk file, or if you do it from memory data, or if you do it from socket. So socket is something where you use things in networks. So, and now just let us get back to the slide. And here you can see its goal is to provide a way to support efficient RPC. Regarding RPC, we have discussed yesterday, and you can see like which requires the overhead of something like SOAP. So, what is the meaning of SOAP? Is SOAP stands for Simple Object Access Protocol, and that is the abbreviation for SOAP, Simple Object Access Protocol. And what is the use of this protocol? See, it is a protocol which specifies to transfer, which specifies or which is being used in transferring structured data in the implementation of web services in computer networks. For this, we use a SOAP protocol. And now let us talk about two more things. One is about socket. And we have the meaning of socket is a end-to-end point communication protocol. For example, treat that just me as the source and you as the destination. So just we are going to interact by passing the messages between the source to destination. Okay. And in this case, who has to initiate the task, and who is going to just post a request first, and who is going to acknowledge it, and next who is going to respond to it, and how the communication will be happening in this medium, right? So for to how it can be get done. And there is a protocol which tells you, I mean, which handles these things, right? There is a protocol which handles you these things. So which tells us who is going to initiate a task, and and how it is going to communicate in a conversation, and how far the communication can be get happened, I mean a set of messages that can be exchanged across the medium. So for these things will be get handled by socket. Okay, that is we call socket communication. That is the meaning of socket communication, and that is the responsibility of socket and its protocols to handle these things. And since we're talking about Cassandra, which is again cluster, I mean, it is not centralized, it is decentralized. So that where you can see there will not be a core part of it. Decentralized means like that will be get distributed across a set of nodes in a cluster. So it even though it is distributed across a cluster of networks, cluster of nodes, it is guaranteed that no failure. And even if anything goes down in zero time, you can avoid that. In zero time, you can make the node to be again recovered, and you can make sure that that is working in a better manner. And even when it is being distributed across the networks, you can use that on a database medium. I mean, like when, for example, if you take net banking transactions or railway ticket transactions, so this transaction is being happening throughout the network, not as like in a single mission, or not as like in a single LAN. This is happening throughout the world, right? So something. So it is an example for this common transport. Sorry, it is an example for the socket. And what is common transport interface? So common transport interfaces, the application code will be same even if you use disk file, or if you use memory data, or if you use streaming socket, the code is not going to change. That is common transport interface. You will be using a single transport interface. And third, protocol independence. Like here thrift API encodes and decodes the data, and which can be used across set of protocols. It is not specifically related to protocol that can be get applied on a wide variety of protocols. And fourth, versioning support. So when the versions are being upgrading, like earlier we are version 1.0, now we are version 2.0. And if you talk about Python, earlier when in the beginning, like in 2 3 years back, Python 3 was very famous. And now we use Python 3.4, Python 3.5, and recently we have Python 3.8. Okay, so like when these versions are upgrading, you need not to worry that either how the APIs will be supporting or not. So these APIs will be supporting even the client, even the version get updates. So by there by default, you can find some updates for the API also. Okay, so this is about Thrift API. I'll be showing you a small Cassandra web console so that you can understand how you can analyze the things. And the next client is Avro. When I talk about Avro, the first thing that should come into your mind is it is a row-oriented RPC. Okay, so even we talk about Cassandra and HBase, all these are column-oriented. But here we use this API and in Apache Avro, and it is a row-oriented. And where we are using it is like it can be used widely for data serialization and RPC system. And Aura was created by Dow Cutting. So for these things, let us. I think these are not important things like who is invented and how it is developed. And let us talk about the futures of Aura. And the first future is robust data structure, which supports a wide variety of data structures. And second thing is which can be used for binary format RPC calls. And third thing, which can be integrated with programming languages, as like Thrift. So both are resembles same, but still there are little bit difference between Thrift and Avro. And Avro has certain advantages, but Thrift has certain advantages, and both has disadvantages and both has advantages. And one thing is like uh, when I talk about this RPC, and this facility is not that much facilitated in Apache Thrift, whereas this is being provided in Apache Avro. So where you can see a dynamic code for RPC, remote procedure call. Okay, and the third one is Hector. And the things that we have discussed are Thrift and Avro. Thrift and Avro are the most important Cassandra clients, and we have few additional clients. Those additional clients we shall be discussing now. And in that the first one is Hector. So Hector means like it is again an API, but the thing is that which is entirely written in Java. That is the meaning of Hector. So Hector is an open source project which is entirely written in Java, so which supports a wide variety of Java related code, right? So second thing, first thing is it was written entirely with Java, and second thing, it was the most. It was the most earliest. I mean, in the past, Hector was most widely used with Cassandra clients, and it also can be integrated with JMX. JMX means like a Java management extension. So by integrating this, what it can be achieved is we can make use of like as a Thrift API. I will show you screen. See, it is a Cassandra web console. It is a Cassandra web console means like it is actually telling you what is the background of your application. When you start processing it, it is telling you how many number of nodes are being addressed. So in the left hand side, you can see key spaces. So key space is the most important component of Cassandra. So key space. Next to key space, you can see system, test, Twitter, and how to create resource system, ring, and configuration. So here it shows you, and here it shows you. How the system usage. The system usage can be get shown on a screen. It is an API or interface, right? which will help you to, to analyze the background of performance of your system. Or to be simple, I can take it this as an example. If you take task manager of your system, like once if you press Control or Delete, you will get task manager. And in the task manager, you can see the background application processes. And if you want to terminate it, you can terminate it. And here, similarly, when you talk about a cluster, there will be a number of nodes. So you can see how many number of nodes are being currently in execution. You can see the status. Or if you want to create a new component, you want to create a new component to a database, that you can create it. So it is a simple web console of Cassandra. Okay. And the futures are, first one, it is an object oriented API, which is exclusively only for Java. Okay. So this will be working only for Java. And failover support, when comparing to failover support of Thrift, this is much more better in supporting the failover rates. And third is connection pooling. I mean, so you know what is the meaning of like this pooling, where set of process on the client's side can be just passed in your application. So by that, it is simple, it is parallel as like batch processing. And fourth one, JMX support, Java Management Extension support. So whereby you can make connections to be available, and some in case if you need any idle connections, you can do it. And you can make sure that the connection works fine, much better when you interact with your database. And this is about Hector client. And there is one more client that is called Hector Sharp. Hector Sharp is meant for C Sharp. Okay, that is written as a C hash symbol. So we have one more client that is called Hector Sharp, which is written exclusively for C++. Hector is written exclusively for Java. Okay, so that is the difference between Hector and Hector Sharp. So one is meant for Java and second one is meant for C Sharp. And now the next client that is called Chirper. Chirper. And it is meant for .NET developers. It is meant for .NET developers. And next one is Chaiton, Chiton. Chaiton is meant for Python. Like Hector, which is entirely written for Java. Similarly, Chaiton, which is written entirely for Python. Okay, that is Cassandra, which is written for Python. That is termed as Chaiton, Chiton. And here you can see there is something called Python GTK framework. So when I talk about a framework which comprises a set of tasks, which gives you a complete solution of 2 to 3 submodules or 2 to 3 subparts. Okay, and this GTK stands for Graphical User Interface Kit, which is used for Python. So which comes as like a interface to communicate with Python. And again, the next client, Pelops, is meant for Java. So whatever that we are discussing right now about all the clients, you can see that all the client APIs has been designed or developed for Java, Python, C++, and few are C Sharp and .NET, right? So C Sharp means Hector Sharp, and for .NET we are using this Chipper. And all the remaining client APIs rest only for Java and Python. And Pelops is a Java client which is written by Dominic Williams, and it is similar to again Hector, which both are Java based. And here it is little bit easy to use when comparing to Hector. And it supports all the lower level systems, and it also supports the future of connection pooling with Hector. And it acts as a close follower to Cassandra. And we have one more supporting tool in addition to this, in addition to Pelops, that is called Kundera. That is called Kundera. It is again which is written in Java. It is called Object Relational Mapping, Java ORM. So Java Object Relational Mapping. So which is written with Java annotations. It is written entirely using Java annotations. So what is this particularly this can do? This the supports works with Java Entity Bean. And there is a term called EJB when you talk about Java. So EJB stands for Enterprise Java Beans. And in earlier, this EJB was being playing a major part in applications. Like when you go for a library management system and RPC and few more applications, EJB was used widely. It is called Bean, Enterprise Java Bean. And when you use those Java entity beans and in those applications, this Kundera can be get this Kundera API can be get used. And the last one is called Fauna, but it is meant for Ruby, right? So this is one which is meant for Ruby client, and this is being used by Twitter for the Cassandra database that is called Fauna. So these are Cassandra clients, and each and every client has its own limitation, and each and every client has its own advantage and disadvantage and drawback. So when you depends on application. So what based on the application you can decide what particular client can be get applied on your mission and how to get used in our system. This is about Cassandra clients. Okay, so with this we shall conclude with Cassandra, and we shall start with Pig. So let us recall the topics of Cassandra. And the first one is what does mean by Cassandra, what is the purpose of Cassandra, and what are the futures of Cassandra. And that is the first thing. And second thing is Cassandra data model. In Cassandra data model, we need to talk about seven components like column family, super column, key space, and then indexes, and then data types. So these seven terms relate seven components which is related to Cassandra data model. And next to Cassandra data model, we should talk about Cassandra clients. In Cassandra clients, the most two important clients are Apache Thrift and Apache Avro. So Apache Avro is meant for data serialization, it is RPC, and Thrift is an API which can be connected, which can be integrated with any programming language. Okay, and mostly we will be using Java and Python in integrating these things. This these are the two important clients. And next, in addition to this, we have few more supporting clients, and those which we have discussed. One is called Hector. Okay, so one is Hector, which is written entirely for Java, and second Chinton, which is for Python, and Chyper, which is for .NET, and Hector Sharp is for C Sharp, and Fauna is for Ruby. So these are Cassandra clients. And now we shall be moving into the next data model that is called Pig. Okay. So Pig, let me give a short introduction to Pig. So Pig is again a database model. And why the name Pig, Cassandra, and Hive. I mean, even Hadoop. And there are few. I mean, there are few naming conventions used in these things. How these names are get framed. Okay. And this Pig is a high-level platform for creating projects that runs on Apache Hadoop. It is again similar to MapReduce, and Pig can also be get used with MapReduce. And in this Pig, it provides you a platform. I mean, it provides a platform. That platform is called Pig Latin, or you can call Pig Latin is the language which we use to write code and to interact with Pig programming language. And this can also be called as Pig programming language. Okay. So what? Let us see what is the difference between Pig Latin and how it works. And the first point is Pig provides you an engine for executing data flows in parallel on Hadoop, and that is the first thing. And second, it provides you a language. That language is named as Pig Latin. Okay, that language is named as Pig Latin. So as I said, Pig provides you an engine for execution of data flows in parallel, and these data flows which is being executing in parallel can be expressed with Pig Latin. Can be expressed in Pig Latin. Okay, so Pig Latin is a language, whereas this Pig is a platform that Pig Latin, and again it is an open source project. So Pig runs on Hadoops, which makes use of HDFS and MapReduce, and which is used to process weblog and to build user behavior models. Like when you talk about data mining, so data mining, we also talk about text mining. So whereby you can predict the behavior of a person, like you can predict the behavior of a user. So how come I can predict the behavior of user means by asking certain few queries. I will be posting you certain few questions, and based on your way of responding, how you are responding to it, and based on your answers, I can conclude that what kind of person you are. So this I can predict your behavior. So predicting user behavior. So where we apply data analytics, and even if you take online systems, you can see personal recommendation systems, or based on your browsing history, I can know what kind of things that you look most for, and what is the thing that which you like most, and this will help me to analyze the behavior of a person. So that is also one area where we use this data analytics. And second, I can talk about web sentiment analysis. I mean, the most you can you most you should have seen sentiment analysis in Twitter or Facebook, or sentiment analysis on social media. So here again, sentiment analysis means how it works. So the sentiment analysis can also be just done in like a question and answers. I will be creating certain queries, and I will be asking you to post answers for those queries. And based on the answers responses that you are going, I will be suggesting. I mean, I will be analyzing, and then I will be concluding that what kind of person you are, what is your character, and how you are behaving. And that is how sentiment analysis works. It is based on the way that you are responding. It is based on the way that you are answering the questionnaire. Okay, so it is where we use these kind of applications in social media, and which works for to process images, and also like with data mining. And this pick can be used in two modes. One is called local mode, and second one is called cluster mode. I mean Hadoop. Second one is called cluster Hadoop mode. So when I talk about local mode, all the scripts run on a single machine. That is only on your single current machine. When I talk about a cluster, it is again as like in a network. It is again as like in a network where these things will be get residing on multiple nodes in a network. and let's that will be get executing. So these are the um, two modes how this pig execution environment works. And why is pig useful so far? So this pig is used. This pig falls in three categories. Like one is ETL. So pig can be used for ETL, stands for extract, transform, load. Second, which can be applied for research on raw data. Research on raw data. I mean, when you analyze with the unstructured data, when you do some kind of research with unstructured data. And third, it can be used for iterative processing. So these are the three main purposes of using pig. First one is for ETL data pipelines, and second, research on raw data, and third, iterative processing. So these are the three important uses of this pig. So as the name pig means, so pig can eat anything, right? So pig can eat anything, and similarly, this pig tool can be used to operate on any kind of data. It can be metadata, or it can be a data, or it can be a relational, or it can be a nested, or it can be a structured, or it can be unstructured, or it can be key value based data store. It can be of anything. Okay, so that is also the one a name that pig means. It can be get used with any kind of database. It can be relational, it can be non-relational, it can be metadata, it can be based on not metadata, or it can be based on key value. It can be of anything, right? And second, a pig lives anywhere. Similarly, this can be get executed in any machine at any place. It is again like a parallel data processing, which is not particularly related to anything like Hadoop or MapReduce or something like that. So which can be get implemented and can be get used on any missions. And the next part is like pigs are domestic animals. So it is designed to be easily controlled and modified by users. And for this, we use certain commands like stream command and MapReduce command. And there are certain commands. See, when you get into R programming language, R is again a statistical programming language. So in R, what specifically we can do is, similarly, we can take a structured data set which you can pass it as like a raw input data, only structure. So R will not be handling unstructured data. If it is unstructured, you need to use some kind of translator. So you can extract the information from the data set. Just give me a minute.